Am I the asshole for shouting at someone because they touched my fins? I'm currently training to learn freediving, and part of this is going to a pool to practice apnea breath holding and general technique. Now finding a pool that allowed me to use any sort of fins was a pain in the butt, so when I found one that did, I was super happy. Also, my fins aren't your usual ones, they're true freedive fins almost 3 feet long, carbon fiber, and they were very expensive for me to buy, almost $400. They're also decently fragile compared to your usual fins, and are also really flexible. This means you have to be fairly careful. The pool is your standard type with a shallow end of 60 centimeters 1.5 m from 1 foot 5 feet in depth, and then it slopes down to 2 m 7 feet. There is also a small section which is 4 m about 13 feet deep for diving boards. I was at the 1.5 m section with my buddy when this happened. Part of my training involved being face down in the water with my legs out behind me, and this of course meant that my fins were sticking out. During one exercise I felt someone bump into my right-hand fin, so I put my head up to see what was happening. It was a teenage girl, maybe 15-ish. I explained to her in the local language I happened to speak it that she needed to look out for other people. I continued with the exercises with my buddy, but the same thing kept happening. It was obvious that she just wasn't listening to anything I'd said or watching what she was doing. If anything, she seemed more interested in being stupid in front of her friends. It happened multiple times and I tried to remind her gently. The last time it happened, the fins were bent into a semicircle and I became really annoyed because of this, and instead of being nice, I basically laid into her and told her that if she wanted to be an idiot then I hoped she had the $400 to replace my fins when she broke them. She burst into tears and I saw her sitting at the side of the pool for the rest of the time I was there. I now feel I might have been too harsh on a young girl for what was likely an innocent mistake. Am I the asshole? Info: are you fins sticking directly out when you are training like this? It sounds like you are taking up 3 feet extra pool space in the shallow end of a public pool, then becoming angry when kids bump into you. Did I understand that correctly? Also, can you train any of these techniques without the fins? Not when swimming, but when stationary upside down, do you need the fins then? ETA: you're the asshole. Based on the info, how you've been on here replying to others in the thread, sorry but you're the asshole. Info: why did you need your fins if you were practicing holding your breath? You're the asshole if all you're doing is practicing holding your breath, you don't even need to wear the fins. Info: was she intentionally messing with them or accidentally hitting them? And why couldn't you and your buddy take turns being upright so that neither of your fins were messed with? I mean, this is one of the reasons why many pools don't allow fins. You both have to share the pool space. Perhaps she should have moved further away, or perhaps it was actually you that was bumping into her. Either way, you're the one who decided to bring your expensive and space-consuming equipment into a pool that isn't for your own private use. You have to accept the risks involved in that choice, which includes being accidentally bumped into. I'm gonna go with you're the asshole. You're the asshole. It's a public pool, not a pool to train and learn how to free dive. There is a reason most pools didn't even allow you to bring those fins. I see why finding a pool that allows fins is hard. You're the asshole. You're taking up between 8–10 feet with your fins, they're going to get touched, especially in a public pool. Bringing $400 fins to a public pool, especially when you say they're fragile, was not a good idea. Why wouldn't you just bring cheaper fins to practice in? Dude, I freedive myself. You can 100% practice in lower quality fins. Fin technique is a pretty small component of freedive technique. The physical breathe up and psychological aspect are the most important. You're the asshole completely. Info: why were you in the shallow end? That's where toddlers swim. You're lucky you only bumped into a 15-year-old. You're the asshole. You're the asshole. You're the adult making the choice to bring expensive fins to a public space to practice your hobby. Children and teens aren't known for spatial awareness. It's a risk you take entering a public space. No need to call a 15-year-old an idiot and make her cry. You're the asshole public pool, you entitled jerk. People are going to touch each other. You are the one choosing to bring $400 fins to a public pool, and guess what? It's your fault if they get ruined. She, or anyone else, won't be responsible. Oh, and having your find on in a public pool is not going to help your breath control. You referred to a young stranger as stupid and idiot in one post and made sure to include you happen to speak the language. You're trying to learn to dive at a public pool during public hours. You're the asshole. Phew, chilly, the ghetto of it all, to act all precious with your bougie fins with which you can't afford to train anywhere else but in a public pool. You're the asshole. It's a public space, which means you have to share it with people who have an equal right to be there. Adjust your expectations accordingly. You don't need fins for static apnea. You're the asshole. Why do you even need the fins on if you're practicing apnea? You're not diving. You're just taking up extra space in a public pool. I bet you're the kind of jackass who treats a pool at a resort like a super serious Olympic workout. Do you need to wear the super delicate, fragile and long fins in the public pool to practice breathing techniques in the shallow end? You're the asshole. You're the asshole. Either find another pool or go at dawn when none is there. Unless there are designated areas roped off for laps or training, you can't expect no bumping. You're the asshole. It's not your private pool and you would have taken up a huge amount of space. Fellow freediver here. I logged in to tell you what huge you're the asshole as you are. Also, from your description it's pretty likely you were just floating into her and actually bumping into her. You actually move a decent amount when not anchored to anything. Please quit freediving because you're bringing us all down. And what kind of a person drops $400 on carbon fiber fins when they're only learning the basics of freediving, and also acts like everyone in a public pool has to be super careful around their big purchase? I explained to her in the local language I happened to speak it that she needed to look out for other people. You know that goes for you too. You're the asshole. It's a public pool and you were acting like an entitled ass. Am I the asshole? For being an asshole? Yes. Yes you are. You're the asshole, so you're taking up the majority of the shallow end, like 8 feet of space, and you're upset someone kept bumping into your precious fins in a public pool. Authorized or not, it's still our move. Info: why didn't you move to the deeper end of the pool? You're the asshole. Most large communal pools in Denmark are standard Olympic-sized. And about 6-8 meters. In the deep end for training jumps up to 10 meters. And you are puddling about in a small communal 3-meter basin. Without previous agreement with the lifeguards. Honestly. How stupid can you be? Unsure of the need to mention speaking the local language to her, that alone makes you sound like some elitist prick who has moved to foreign country and expects them to adapt to your ways, not you to theirs. AITA because of how you spoke to her. Public pools get crowded, and practicing in a public pool, well, things will happen. Also, even if she was a turd, don't yell at a kid. Just say something to a lifeguard or someone. Assholes like you are most likely the reason other pools won't allow 3-foot fins. You're the asshole. If you don't want people touching your stuff, fork out the money to buy private time at a training facility. You're in the shallow end taking up huge amounts of space, and you screamed at a teenager who is also allowed